Welcome everybody to the Single and Stiletto Show. I'm Suzanne Oshima and I'm a matchmaker and dating coach at Dream Bachelor and Bachelorette, and I'm also the founder of Single and Stilettos. Today we have in our show Marni Kinrys, and she's a wing girl and founder at winggirlmethod.com. And I'm so excited to have her here today because today we're talking about it's not that important, ladies, and we're going to get into this topic. But before we do, Marni, tell our audience a little bit about you and how you became a wing girl.
Well, I became a wing girl just over a decade ago when I was at a singles mixer at a rabbi's house, and nobody was talking to each other. So I started grabbing guys and introducing them to women, being the icebreaker. By the end of the night, people were mixing. They were exchanging phone numbers, making out, a couple of them, which was fantastic. So I made a joke and said to my roommate when I got home that I really want to be a wing girl. I would love to do this for a living. It seemed super fun, and I was great at it that night. So I posted an ad on Craigslist, and I had over 75 responses by the next morning. So I started, and over the past decade, the business has transformed a lot to a mainly online business, but I still do a lot of coaching. But now I actually do some coaching for women, and I've created a product called That's Not How Men Work, based on the information I've learned about men, so that women can have a little bit of insight into what men are thinking, what they want, what their insecurities are, all of that good stuff. So yeah.
Awesome. And ladies, let me just tell you, Marni's been doing this a long time and she really does know the secrets behind men. So let's jump into this. So Marni, one of the things that I find as a matchmaker is I find a lot of women have a lot of must-haves, and I know men do too, but my audience is women right now. So let's talk about this, because I find, and I'm sure you hear it from the male point of view too, is that a lot of women think that they must have this, this, and this. And tell our audience what you think are some of the most ridiculous things that they feel they must have that they really don't need in a man.
Well, the thing is, okay, I'm going to talk more in general terms first than specific things.
Okay.
I think that a lot of women put a lot of pressures on men that they wouldn't necessarily put onto themselves. Like for me, before I met my husband, I thought that all men were supposed to be extremely charismatic. I thought that all men were supposed to have a dazzling personality and the best sense of humor in the entire world. And if a guy wasn't able to do the things that I've seen in a movie, like have quick wit, and which are all fantastic things, but like have all of these things available to them at an instant, then they weren't worth my time. And there was something maybe subconscious or maybe conscious inside myself that if they didn't have those things, I would turn myself off of them. And sadly, a lot of the guys who did have those skill sets were actually not very good guys. We're kind of the jerks. We're the players. Never wanted to take anything seriously. They were typically the guys that I didn't want to give my time to. And so for me, and I hear this from a lot of women as well, I'm sure you do as well, I kept thinking in my mind, there are no good men out there. And that's not true. I work with, hundreds of great men every single day, thousands every single month of wonderful men that when they go out and they approach women or they interact with women or they go on a first date, they're nervous. They can doubt themselves. They have insecurities. They have fears, as well as women. And because they're not able to show this wonderful charismatic side in the first 5 minutes or even on the first date, I think that it's seen as a negative to a lot of women. And so the main message that I want to give to women before we go into the specifics of things like not to have on your list is help a brother out. Like help a man out instead of sitting with your arms crossed or waiting for him to possibly or potentially fail or already have a preconceived notion of who he is because he hasn't been able to show you these other characteristics. Help a brother out, be open, add to the conversation, ask him questions as well, get him to be comfortable, calm down, and feel more confident while on a date or while doing an approach. And then you will get the best side of these amazing men. Because I will tell you something, I have tons of wing girls all over the world. And they all say the same thing to me after they go and they do, we call them outings. They go and do an outing with one of these guys. They say, I have this amazing guy standing in front of me. We're joking around. He's that guy that you want to be with. And then as soon as I tell him to go pick up a girl that he finds attractive, he becomes a different version of himself. So my point is that a lot of women are cutting quality men off because they're not seeing this Prince Charming or George Clooney or whatever your idea of perfection is. They're not seeing him in the first few interactions, but he can be there and he is there, but sometimes he needs your help.
So basically, what you're saying is to give a guy a chance and don't be so hard on him because
yes, I should have just said that, but yes.
Well, no, and we needed that though because women need to understand where they're not giving a man a chance and where they're just cutting him off and going, no, he's not for me. Because I see that a lot in my matchmaking business. Is I'll set up a woman on a first date with one of my clients, and like you said, they expect him to be, this charismatic guy, have all these things, in which they do. But they feel like, this is what I always hear. He's great, but, there wasn't that chemistry. I know what it feels like. And I'm like, yeah, but you know what? You've tried that in the past and that hasn't worked for you. So why don't you try something different and actually, like you said, give the guy a chance, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, it was interesting. So yesterday, one of my clients forwarded me this article that was in the New York Times. And it's been republished in many other places. But there was this study done, and I'm not going to quote this accurately, but there was this study done that found that there were 36 questions to fall in love. Have you heard about this study?
Oh, that's so funny because I did see someone else posted that on Facebook and I was reading it and then I got distracted. I never finished reading it.
Yeah. Well, so what it's saying is they did this study where they brought in a heterosexual man and a heterosexual woman into a lab. So a quiet space where there's nothing surrounding them, which is fun. And what they did was they had these 36 questions that are very, they're intense questions where you actually get to know a person, see the way that they think, like hear how they feel about things, get to know them on a deeper level. And so after you're done asking these 36 questions of each other, you stare into each other's eyes for 4 minutes, like literally for 4 minutes, just staring into their eyes. Right. And they said that every non-couple that came into their lab to do this study walked out as a couple and has since been a couple.
That's crazy.
Which is insane. I don't know how many people they actually brought into this, but there was this other girl who's like, okay, screw that. That's not going to work for me. She decided to do a study for herself, but she did it in a bar setting and she did it with somebody she already knew, but she did the same 36 questions, the same eye stare with him, and she's been with him for over 4 months. She's madly in love with him, but it's crazy. So the thing is that a lot of women and men do this too. We're on both sides. We're both superficial because of expectations, of our ideals, whatever the reasons are. We have a certain vision of who and what we're supposed to be with. And if somebody doesn't fall into that vision, they're out. If they're 5'5" instead of 5'7", it's like, no, I don't want to be with him. And you close yourself off to the wonderful potential you can have in a mate. And I think a lot of people are forgetting that, yes, they want to be attracted to the person that they're going to be with, but a lot of women are dating to find potential partners in life. And partners in life don't have to be a set height. Partners in life, anyway, I can go on a whole list, but you're looking for people to go through life with you, to have fun with, to share experiences with. That's why this study works, because it gets you to see past those superficial things that sometimes turn people off and get people to cut people off. And they allow you to see inside the person. So if people can apply what this study did, maybe not asking 36 questions on the first date and staring into their eyes, but if they can apply a little bit of that study to the way that they date, I think they'll find that there are a lot more matches for them out there.
That is so true. And this is what I will say, ladies, because I see this in my matchmaking business. The more closed off you are and the more things you have on your list of must-haves, is you're going to be single for a really long time, because it's going to be really hard to find you that exact person that has all of those qualities and things that you're looking for. And if you're more open and you kind of just open up the parameters, like Marnie was talking about, you're going to find that you may meet the right guy. Because how many times have you gone out with a guy and you thought he had almost everything on your list, but then you just didn't hit it off in person?
Right. Exactly. Like, also, I'll say this. I know you want to keep these short, but I'll just tell you one final story. So my husband, when I first met him, I was not interested in him, mainly because he didn't fit into my category of what I typically go for. I had just moved to LA. I'm Jewish from Toronto. I had only been with Jewish guys, like guys who were 5'7" to 5'9" max, who were kind of balding at the age of 25, wore glass. Like, that was my type, like an accountant. So when I met my husband, who is half black, 6'3", a Catholic, just every opposite to me, he wasn't even in my vision of potential partners. But I just really enjoyed hanging out with him. I was comfortable. I felt this comfort that I'd never felt with him before, with anybody before. And so it took time for me to adjust what I had visualized for myself for the future and for a potential partner. But thank God I did, because he's the most amazing man, number one. But even more so, he's an unbelievable partner in life. So it worked out well for me.
That is so true. And I've met her husband. He is awesome, ladies. Yeah. But so here's what I want to say, ladies. We're going to end on this point, you know, you can have all those must-haves of he must be over 6 feet, because I hear that one all the time and it drives me crazy. Or, you know, he's got to have a full head of hair. He's got to have an Ivy League degree. You can have all those lists of must-haves, but like I said, you're limiting yourself and you're cutting off a lot of great men. And this is what I will say is, we all have, like Marnie said, that picture perfect man of what we envision ourselves with to end up with to get married. You need to get that picture out of your head, because that's actually probably what's blocking you from meeting the right man. So
absolutely.
Go out there more with an open mind. Give a guy a chance, even if you think that that's not my type. Because, ladies, this is what I will tell you. Whenever a woman says, "No, he's not my type," and I'm like, well, how has your type been working for you? It hasn't worked so far, so let's open it up the parameters. And I bet you'll meet Mr. Right. And I also, you know what, ladies? I'm going to post below the video. I'm going to post that article of the 36 questions, because I know all the ladies are dying to know, because I did see that article. So thank you, Marnie, for joining us on the Single and Stiletto Show. So tell our audience how they can find you.
They can go to my website, winggirlmethod.com, or I actually have a podcast called the Ask Women Podcast. It's really popular. Most of the advice we do give is for men, but it's really entertaining and funny, and it's really nice for women to listen to, because they can hear the things that men complain about, that they question, that are frustrating them, and it'll help them gain more insight into how men work and what they can do to attract them and be with them. So Ask Women Podcast is really awesome.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for joining us on the Single and Stiletto Show. Our show is available both in video format and podcast format. If you'd like to view the videos, you can go to singleandstilettos.com. And if you'd like to get the podcast, you can download it from iTunes. If you'd like to get our free report on the top 10 secrets on what attracts a man and what turns him off, you can click right here on the video, or you can go to singleandstilettos.com.